the students and teachers, the number actually of students and teachers that participating in each unitive is somehow correlated with the improvement that demonstrate according to the self-reflection that they made. And we can see that it is actually not related. These two parameters are not, let's say, related, though it is an observation that we can make concerning the projects, the number of projects that each school could implement as interventions within this period of time, and we can observe that this is actually related and correlated, because we have observed, at least with this data that we have, that more interventions and more projects that a school unit is implementing, the more is the improvement of the school. So this could be, let's say, used as supporting also the objectives and the scope of the project by supporting this kind of interventions. Of course, there are other issues that we can investigate concerning also that we have seen in the previous slide with the teachers' professional development level that raise a lot. This as a school unit, this we can see also from the results from the teachers' questionnaires that demonstrate also that the teachers believe that they raised their level, the professional development level. So I think these are. Before you go ahead, at least from my side, I would like to thank a lot all the people in these 123 schools around 10 countries that really put a lot of effort to support us to collect this data, and of course our national coordinators that they were chasing them. So I would like taking this opportunity to thank again, because they give us a lot of useful data to analyze.
Yeah, and it's the same for the following questionnaires you're going to see. So, to support Menelaus's effort in the self-reflection tool, the teachers also filled in personal questionnaires that measured their teacher development, their self-efficacy, their use of technology, their view of technology, and their confidence in technology. So you can see those, they're color-coded. I know the brightness on the screen, it's hard to see them, but don't worry, we can show these slides. So these are each of the 10 countries, and this is the percentage increase along the y-axis. So you're seeing modest to really good improvement in these 5 subscales. Some are statistically significant, some are not, because in some schools there was a very low sample because there was not many teachers involved in the LFE activities. But these are promising gains for such a short period of time, a 9-month project. Similarly with students, we had 328 students fill out pre and post surveys, which measured their engagement, the student-teacher relationship, student voice, and technology confidence. And again, you can see very similar increases across the countries that were measured and overall. So I think these are, again, very promising gains for such a short project. I only have 27 slides left, so stick with me. No, I'm only messing. I have like maybe 8 slides, but these are the really interesting ones because I'm going to present just a couple of very, very short snapshot case studies of a couple of the countries. I know you've already heard from some of the countries today, but for the purpose of our own deliverable, we just examined one school from each country. And, you know, it was really just interesting to see what type of technology they'd purchased, what kind of quantitative changes that we had seen in the questionnaires, how they made efforts to involve the community and involve students in the projects. So this is one of my favorite projects. It's the Potamia Primary School in Cyprus. They ran a project to improve kind of peaceful coexistence between Greek Cypriot and Turkish Cypriot communities on the border. So the students, went out with their iPads and they interviewed locals and they found out about the differences in culture. And then they, reported that back to the community as a whole. They invited the community to see their findings and to show that maybe there weren't as many differences as people thought between the communities. So these types of projects, and are what schools like this ran, so projects that had impact for them, and you can see the associated improvement in some of the metrics that we measured. Their view of technology, their use of technology, the improvement in the self-reflection tool, teacher development. So these are the projects that influence these metrics. In St. Michael's Rockwellis, this is again very like Cyprus. It's a school right on the border with the country of Northern Ireland, on the top of Ireland. It's a typical rural school in Ireland, 2 teachers, about 40 students, and they ran everyone loves history. We've seen a lot of history projects today, but they felt it was important for the students to find out about the history of the communities that live along the border. Again, they created videos, animations, and they shared it with locals. The teacher spoke about how the iPads have improved his control of the classroom. They overcame teacher apprehension through, CPD, so they overcame challenges. And again, you see it reflected in the numbers, the increases across the board in the subscales that we measured and the SRT. And finally, this was a really good one because it was about the concept of maker spaces. So a primary school, Castro Verde in Portugal, they built this kind of mobile maker space where they could travel around to schools and they could show students and parents and teachers how to use different technologies. And again, you can see the reason there's a lower increase in technology use, by the way, is because, and Rosa knows this, the schools in Portugal are already so good with technology and they're already using it, but the LFE just gave them some extra equipment and more modern equipment that they could start using it in better ways. So I think that was interesting to see as well. Challenges, Sophia already spoke about them, so I'm not going to repeat, but it was interesting just to track the challenges and how they were overcome, and that's going to influence the roadmap. The needs analysis and involving stakeholders and having internal champions and propagating the use of technology and scaling. Start small, build it up. You can't accomplish everything in 9 months. So did we meet our objectives? Well, I'm not going to bore you with the bullet points, but some objectives we could measure with quantitative data, some you can't. Some you just have to kind of collect your qualitative data and build a hypothesis to suggest that you did reach an objective. So for example, did we connect students? Well, we can point to quantitative increases in student engagement to say yes. Similarly, for developing teachers, we can say teachers perceived their professional development to have increased. For things like saving time, well, we're not going to go into a classroom with a stopwatch and measure how long it takes teachers and students to do things, but of course we can collect testimony from teachers and students and ask them how they're using the technology to make things more efficient in their classroom. We saw how teachers have described the different tools they're using and their increased access to both software and hardware. We saw how teachers have described how it's improved their teaching practices and their collaboration. And finally, we've seen how teachers are supporting each other professionally. They're not only getting professional support from outside the school, from training providers, but also from themselves, from the national coordinators, from the policymakers in the country, from the national bodies. So, it's invigorated schools on a lot of different levels, from the very small microcosm on the ground right up to the top levels of the country. So that's where I'm going to finish. I'm not going to bore you anymore, but I think you'll appreciate that it's a difficult project to implement across so many countries with so many schools, but I think the impact is speaking for itself, and as Sophie has already said, this is just the start of a roadmap to continue these kinds of projects further. How are we going to show this video? Is that your job? The tech maestro. So I want to thank everyone, all the national coordinators, all you guys for coming. for staying right till the end. You know, right till the end. Thank you.
Menelae, το βίντεο. Αυτό είναι το μετά το Κυπριακό.
Αυτό είναι στο YouTube. Αυτό.
O Learning from Deep Streams para as escolas do nosso agrupamento foi uma muito agradável surpresa porque constituiu uma oportunidade muito válida, muito importante. Nós apetechámos as nossas escolas do primeiro ciclo desenvolvendo projetos educativos de natureza colaborativa com resultados visíveis e com impacto visível nas aprendizagens dos nossos alunos.
Foi uma alavanca muito grande para as escolas que estão dispersas e muito longe da sede. Para estas escolas, o projeto trouxe muita vida e trouxe envolver-se também de professores que normalmente não estavam envolvidas nestes níveis de ensino, como eu, por exemplo.
Colegas mais próximas umas das outras, mesmo distantes fisicamente mais próximas, capazes de partilharem aprendizagens.
E é engraçado que acabámos por ter aqui uma série de dinâmicas de trabalho cooperativo. E esta tecnologia permitiu estreitar as relações e fazer algo que se calhar não fazíamos, que era este trabalho colaborativo. Refiro-me, por exemplo, a um livro digital que foi realizado no âmbito do projeto, em que cada escola dava o seu contributo para que a história fosse desenvolvendo, quer a nível de produção de texto, quer a nível de imagem. E depois toda a lógica assentou nesta cooperação.
Acrescentando aí os diretos que fazíamos entre escolas por partilhas. Estávamos no ano, estamos a falar de uma cidade templária, estávamos no ano da festa dos tabuleiros e tudo o que aí está associado, e foi uma partilha muito interessante a nível cultural que conseguimos fazer através de diretos entre escolas e que enriqueceu toda a parte de quem participou.
É o facto de me obrigar a mim a reinventar-me como professor.
Sair da zona de conforto.
De facto, essa é a parte mais importante. Isto porquê? Porque vem-nos demonstrar claramente que os manuais, que aquilo que habitualmente temos, o quadro com os giz para fazermos contas e cópias e coisas do género, é uma linguagem que está perfeitamente ultrapassada, que os alunos já ultrapassaram em muito. As aprendizagens é aquelas que nós ainda pensamos no passado. O problema é que eles são alunos do século XXI, como já alguém disse, e, portanto, nós temos que adaptar a nossa escola também às aprendizagens do século XXI. Eu penso que o Learning from Extremes teve esta marca nas comunidades de muito baixa densidade, como as nossas aldeias. Foi exatamente proporcionar aos nossos alunos aquilo que os alunos das cidades e dos meios urbanos já têm ao seu dispor.
A tecnologia permitiu o aproximar dessas escolas, o aproximar das metodologias. Na escola onde eu trabalho, posso dizer que criou uma grande dinâmica entre alunos até. Entre professores e entre alunos.
Partilha de ideias, de trabalho.
Iniciativas dos alunos.
Iniciativas humanas. O primeiro desafio foi mesmo a aquisição, portanto, do equipamento, em que há uma grande burocracia que nós tivemos que seguir, não é? E que de alguma forma demorou e atrasou um pouco o início deste projeto. Isso foi, para mim, um grande constrangimento para nós.
Depois um desafio foi habituar as pessoas a partilhar e a trabalhar de forma comum e não apenas na sua área, isto é, tornarem-se mais interdisciplinares, mais abertas às opiniões e aos trabalhos dos outros e dos alunos. O balanço foi extremamente positivo, contudo, há sempre questões de dificuldades de motivação, portanto era bom que todos tivessem o mesmo grau de envolvimento e motivação, mas nem sempre é possível, e também de adaptação aos meios tecnológicos, nem todos também têm o mesmo grau de facilidade em receber a mudança. Contudo, penso que o balanço foi positivo.
Sim, o balanço é positivo e mesmo com algumas dificuldades foram aceitando a nossa ajuda e motivaram-se e foram sempre participando de forma ativa.
And from the west of Europe and Mediterranean, we go to the east, to Cyprus.
Μια πιο μικροσκοπική κουκκιδούλα στο χάρτη της Ευρώπης και μέσω του προγράμματος καταφέραμε να πάρουμε μια τεράστια όθηση και να ανοίξουμε ένα μεγάλο παράθυρο στον κόσμο.
Μπορούμε να επικοινωνούμε μεταξύ μας όλοι οι μαθητές και με τη δασκάλα μας μέσω του Teams. Μπορούμε να ανταλλάσσουμε διάφορες παρουσιάσεις που μπορούμε να φτιάχνουμε, να συνεργαζόμαστε μέσω του Teams ή ακόμα να εργαζόμαστε σε μια κοινή παρουσίαση.
Στο πλαίσιο του LFE, οι εκπαιδευτικοί είχαν την ευκαιρία να επιμορφωθούν στις νέες τεχνολογίες, εκπαιδεύτηκαν πάνω σε αυτό το υλικό και στη συνέχεια προσπάθησαν να το αξιοποιήσουν μέσα από τα μαθήματά τους. Ήταν μια σημαντική εμπειρία, η οποία μόλις τώρα ξεκίνησε και ασφαλώς έχει πολύ δρόμο, θα πρέπει να συνεχιστεί και τα επόμενα χρόνια.
Έχουν γίνει διαδέξεις μέσω της οθόνης την οποία βλέπετε, είχαμε μαζέψει κόσμο, τώρα έχουμε ένα πρόγραμμα το οποίο έρχονται άνθρωποι οι οποίοι κάποιας ηλικίας εκπαιδεύονται μέσω του προγράμματος του για να μπορούν να κάνουν τις αιτήσεις τους, να κάνουν οτιδήποτε χρειαστεί να κάνουν προς τα γραφεία κάτω ή χωρίς να παρουσιάζονται ήδη.
Γίνονται επιμορφωτικά ενηλίκων με τη χρήση του εξοπλισμού μας. Έγιναν σεμινάρια για την ασφάλεια στο διαδίκτυο και τα αποτελέσματα της εργασίας των παιδιών, οι λόγοι που οδήγησαν στην ειρηνική συνύπαρξη ανάμεσα στις δύο κοινότητες των χωριών, που είναι σε ψηφιακή μορφή, θα τοποθετηθεί στην ιστοσελίδα του σχολείου και της κοινότητας για να μπορούν να το διαβάσουν όλοι και να έχουν ελεύθερη πρόσβαση.
Από την αρχή του προγράμματος, το Παιδαγωγικό Ινστιτούτο στάθηκε δίπλα μας σε θέματα επιμόρφωσης του προσωπικού. Οι επιμορφώσεις αυτές έγιναν και σε πρωινό χρόνο διδακτικό, όπου λειτουργεί του Παιδαγωγικού Ινστιτούτου, ήρθα στο σχολείο και έκαναν επιμόρφωση στους εκπαιδευτικούς, αλλά ταυτόχρονα και μαθήματα στα παιδιά και τα παρακολούθησαν οι εκπαιδευτικοί του σχολείου μας.
Στο στάδιο της υλοποίησης της πρότασης, μέσω του ενεργού και συνεχή συντονισμού, αλλά και μέσω της εξειδικευμένης καθοδήγησης, το Παιδαγωγικό Ινστιτούτο ενίσχυσε σημαντικά τις προσπάθειες μας όλων των σχολείων στην επιλογή του κατάλληλου εξοπλισμού, στο σχεδιασμό, στην εφαρμογή των δράσεων στα σχολεία μας, αλλά και στην αντιμετώπιση των όποιων προβλημάτων προέκυπταν. Επίσης, το Παιδαγωγικό Ινστιτούτο παρέχει κεντρική επιμόρφωση για διάφορα θέματα και επιμόρφωση προσαρμοσμένη στις εξειδικευμένες ανάγκες των εκπαιδευτικών που συμμετείχαμε στο έργο, όπως για παράδειγμα εργαστήρια ρομποτικής.
Η τεχνολογία μας βοήθησε να συνεργαζόμαστε και να βοηθούμε ένας τον άλλο στις δυσκολίες μας, να ψάχνουμε σε διάφορες πηγές τα προβλήματα που έχουμε στα μαθήματα μας, να κάνουμε πιο δημιουργικές εργασίες, ηλεκτρονικά παραμύθια, παρουσιάσεις, αφίσες, και να βρίσκουν πληροφορίες από διάφορες πηγές.
Μέσα στο πρόγραμμα του LFE έχουμε προετοιμάσει και είμαστε στα σκαριά και στην έναρξη ενός προγράμματος μαζί με το Κέντρο Παραγωγικότητας και τους υπόλοιπους φορείς, έτσι ώστε να ξεκινήσουμε ένα εκπαιδευτικό πρόγραμμα το οποίο θα είναι η χρήση των έξυπνων κινητών και θα είναι διάρκειας περίπου 30 ώρων.
Μέσω εδώ του γυμνασίου είχα διεξαχθεί σεμινάρια όσον αφορά τις ψηφιακές δεξιότητες που αφορούσαν τα άτομα των 55 ετών και άνω, που για τα άτομα αυτά είναι πάρα πολύ δύσκολο να μεταβούν, όπως γνωρίζετε, και δεν γνωρίζουν να το κάνουν ήδη πάνω στις συσκευές.
Έλαβα μέρος σε ένα εκπαιδευτικό διεπιστημονικό project στα πλαίσια του προγράμματος LFE, το οποίο στόχος ήταν να υποδώσουμε 3 διάστατα τις 4 βυζαντινές εκκλησίες που υπάρχουν στην περιοχή μας, το πλαίσιο του μαθήματος της ιστορίας.
Μέσω του 3D printer δημιουργεί
So we will continue now. We have been talking about the excellent work that we have done during these past 2 years in 10 countries with 123 schools. Nothing could have been done with these schools if we didn't have in each country a very efficient national coordinator. I'm very happy to introduce Maria from the University of Jyväskylä, who acted as national coordinator in Finland, Rosa from Nucleo, national coordinator in Portugal, Dora from Cyprus, national coordinator there, Richard, who collaborated with the national coordinator, actually he was a national coordinator in Ireland, Sofia and Eleni from IEP in Greece. Unfortunately, you know how things are with flights. Bulgaria and Croatia are not with us. I had the honor, not just the pleasure, to be national coordinator in Italy, Romania, and Spain. So I was efficient enough to crowd everybody over there and have all the space for myself here. It was a pleasure to work with you. Every 2 weeks we had a Zoom meeting. It was honestly working together all the time. So what we did, every 2 weeks we had a meeting to see what went well, what didn't go well, and we started alphabetically, and we shared our experiences, our issues, and everything. We always started with Bulgaria, who is not present here. So the idea is that we have it's not a round, but it's called round table, about lessons learned. I could talk for hours after these 2 videos about our experiences with schools that will stay in my mind for a couple of years because of, I keep forgetting things, but it was a life-changing experience not only for the schools. So C is after B, Cyprus, 10 points.
One, two. From Cyprus, 1, 2. Well, as we presented in the morning, as we had the opportunity to present even visually, I believe anyone can conclude that LFE project had a tremendous impact in our educational system and in our communities. We had the pleasure to work with teachers in remote areas, in schools, where we just read their fascinating proposals at the beginning. We evaluated and we concluded that they will participate in the project. When we started visiting schools, we understood how difficult it is to speak about digital education, inclusion, and openness of the school without technology. So we joined our efforts on several levels. As you know, Cyprus Pedagogical Institute is part of the Ministry of Education in Cyprus. So we used every power, every effort to promote schools towards their goal. And we focused on all of the dimensions of their proposals, both technological infrastructure, as well as one of the most important, in my opinion, professional development of teachers, and also integrating technology into teaching and learning, which is one of the most important and difficult challenges. But we also focused our efforts towards openness of the school, supporting, connecting schools with broader community, and I think the results are spectacular. So I think that the Cyprus case is a good case, and I hope that the project will continue to be. We will monitor the project in schools, and we will further support towards their goals.
Thank you, Dora. My English is not that bad, but I'm sure that after C, F is Finland and Maria.
Oh, sorry, I think it's F, yeah. So in Finland, we started to raise awareness mainly through email and also social media, like Facebook groups for the educators. And one thing that I learned from that was that Finns really don't like when their area is called rural. They responded and were very angry about it. They asked us why is the area rural with everything here that we need. So yeah, we got 45 applications in total, which is great. And we had 7 school projects, and in total 14 schools participating. So we had 2 school networks. The smaller one had 2 schools, and the bigger one 7 schools. And one example of the biggest school networks was that, is that they were provided 20,000 euros, and because there were 7 schools, they had to divide the devices that they got between the schools and between the number of students that the schools had. So that was one challenge, because for example, the biggest school in that network only got 22 computers for over 300 students, and then the smaller schools got only 5 computers. So there were some challenges in that, but that's mainly the municipalities reasoning that they wanted to apply as a cluster. But other than that, the schools applied different kinds of technologies, high-tech, for example, 3D printers, laser cutters, and robotics even. And some schools stick to the very basic technology, such as computers and audio equipment and smart boards. But as all schools in LFE, the projects in Finland were a success, and the teachers were very involved, as were the students, and they also participated in the summer school, 2 schools, but unfortunately they are not here today, but maybe online. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Maria. And we will continue with Greece.
In Greece, we had originally 68 applications. The successful projects were 9, which involved 13 schools. We had a group of 1 project for 3 schools and another one with 2 schools. During the evaluation, we realized that our schools had very good ideas. They didn't just want to make their teaching more elaborate with the use of technology. They had actually good ideas. They wanted to do things out of the box, I believe. And they succeeded, all of them, in their projects. We were very excited during our collaboration because we were happy to see the teachers very engaged to the project and willing to do things which were obviously out of the curriculum and out of their what they should do for their job, but they were very happy, and we were really excited when we finally had the chance to visit the schools. And I think this was the time that we realized the real impact of this project to the schools. And we were very happy to meet them. We were communicating with them weekly. But when you meet someone, you see the real impact of the project to the people and the students especially. I would like to mention one case because it was a very special case, the case of Rikusa, a small island over Cape Corfu. In Greece, we had the problem that Some teachers applied for the projects, but then during the time of the project maybe changed, the principals changed, the headmasters changed, some headmasters changed, teachers changed after the summer break, so there were some challenges. In the case of Erikusa, the teacher who applied was not at the school when the project started. We had to wait for a new teacher to come to the school, to be appointed. Fortunately for the project and for us, the teachers who came to the school were excited with the project and really willing to work for it, and they did wonders. And we were very happy for that. But unfortunately, after the summer break, we were informed that the schools closed because the students left. And it was a pity. They had successfully finished their project until June, but we wondered what they would have done if the school was still open. And that's all. In case of Greece, I think we were watching, we were following the projects of Greek schools, but when we had the chance to meet all these people, all these colleagues, because we are colleagues, we are teachers too, we felt that we were there for them. We could make a difference for them, help them develop themselves, make their teaching more interesting for children. So even if we weren't in the classroom to implement what we were doing, we felt as we were part of what. And that's the best thing that we got back. And the fact that we could also follow the schools from the other countries, we were able to see how good work all teachers in all 10 countries were doing. And I'm really honored and proud for working with you. I've taken a lot of ideas, I've learned from them, all of them, and I think that if I go back to school one day, I think I will be a better teacher, most people. Thank you very, very much for accompanying me to this journey. I hope that we will continue traveling to other projects, more projects, to help schools, to help our teachers, our colleagues, and make education better and better. And for those schools who are remote and rural, to feel that they exist, because they are invisible. And we made them visible with this project. And this is the biggest thing that we accomplished. Thank you for my heart, all of you. Thank you, Sophocles, for hosting all this, for helping us. And
there are still countries waiting to speak.
I'm using the microphone, I don't believe it, that's why. Okay, I'll pass it to...
There are 4 countries. 5. Yes.
Yeah, so Ireland, a lot of similar stories to the others, but I'm speaking on behalf of Don Morku and Peter Coakley, who were the real national coordinators in Ireland. Yeah, sorry, no word. How about now? Good. So they were the real national coordinators. They worked a lot of magic. They're a bit like, I don't know if you know Penn and Teller. One guy talks a lot, and the other guy doesn't really talk at all. That's what Dahi and Peter are like. So they, I think they received over, maybe nearly 40 applications. They wanted to, the original plan was to choose 10 schools and give them €15,000 each, but they just didn't want to, reject schools who had really good proposals, so they ended up giving the €10,000 to 15 schools, and they tried to have, a decent distribution of schools throughout the country. We have 26 counties in the south of Ireland, so I think they got at least one school in 13 of the 26 counties. The stories you've already heard about the impact and about the challenges, so there's nothing more to add except it was a very rewarding project to work on, very challenging at times, and I think what will be interesting to see is, and I think Dora had a really good idea, earlier we were just talking about, follow-up, visiting the schools, maybe later in the spring or maybe in the autumn, in the new school year, to see how, just like a very informal visit, just to ask them how they're getting on, how they continue to use the technology, because it's all about legacy and continuing. And an important point to make about Ireland as well is that Dahi and Peter have also tried to maintain contact with the schools who didn't receive a successful proposal, and to invigorate them to apply for different funding pathways and to inform them of opportunities where they can get funding and be involved in projects. So the journey didn't end for them there either. So they as national coordinators felt responsibility that those schools had made the effort to apply, and they didn't want to just leave them. So those schools will also be involved, hopefully, in future projects, if we can get them in. So I think that's important. So that's all from Ireland. Thank you very much. Portugal? Or do you want to go Italy? We go Portugal and then...
Yeah, let's go to Portugal and then I'll talk about the three others.
Okay, well, thank you. After everyone that spoke, I don't really know what's left for me to say. Well, in Portugal, we split the work a little bit. I was in charge of the community building of the project, and I had my colleague Maria Luisa acting as national coordinator. I'm not even going to try to say the numbers because I will myself, she will be mad at me. I know that we had amazing projects. In total, I think we had 45 schools, because in Portugal schools are clustered, and so although there was one school per cluster who received the funding actually, and the investment was there, but we accepted all the other schools to make the work with us. I think I can summarize the experience with a few words. First of all, it was very humbling. Visiting all the schools, not because they were rural. Portugal is a small country, and rural is not that they are invisible or so far away. I think all schools have some kind of visibility. But there is the fact of some choices that people have to make in order to reach the extreme. So I accompanied one teacher with a backpack, with a computer and a projector, going to the several schools of the cluster, making sure that all the teachers there were, having the same opportunity and could provide to their students the same opportunities. Not all the schools would receive the equipment. Some of them had equal challenges, but they were not considered in a region where they were entitled to have the funding. So they shared the opportunities among themselves. And it was, having teachers traveling 60 kilometers one way, and then 50 another way, and then 40 another way. And they all working together as one team. And the impact that the professional development we provided, the fact that we gave a voice to all of them, we had them numerous times together online with us, sharing their experiences, sometimes just complaining about life. That's important, it's about going to the extremes with them, to the extremes of their feelings, of their incapabilities, sometimes of their success stories. That's all very, very important. But what I can say from the experience is that we always have to reinvent ourselves, because what worked a few years ago is not working anymore, and what worked when the projects were approved is not working anymore when they are trying to apply and implement and do these innovative projects. We saw a few of them today, and I think the story repeats in each and every country. Teachers learning how to reinvent themselves, how to make sure that they bring their students to the best that they can. I'm not going to speak much more, I just need to say one thing that to me is really important. Regardless of the country, regardless of the school or the difficulties or how far they are or how near and powerful they are, everything, and this project proved that from beginning to the end, it's about choices. It's about people, and it's about the choices that these people make. So I feel honored as always to work with teams like the teams of Learning from the Extremes. I learned more, I made more friends, and I would like to be, I would like to say I'm very thankful for being brought to the extreme of my knowledge as well. I hope that our common knowledge that was shared today will enlighten others to move, to take the extra mile.
Come up on stage, Nico. Come on.
I'll talk from here. So it's always a difficult act to follow Rosa when she has talked about schools because she's so passionate and a champion in communication. We had 7 countries with on-spot, let's say, national coordinator, and we had 3 countries with a virtual national coordinator. Myself, I was very honored to follow these 3 countries. Italy, what can I say about Italy? We only had 1 school, as Richard said, because unfortunately, for us, not for the schools, there was a big national project a year ago to invest in technology in schools. So we only had 1 school, but a champion teacher. It's only 1 school, I know everyone by name, and what was very impressive, sorry for that, is, as everyone said, we follow them from the application where they saw their needs and why they needed the funding. They proposed the project. We follow them week by week with everything that they are doing. We asked from them to be managers in order to propose a concrete budget and produce reports and taking tools and everything. So we have been following very closely. So Eddie, when she produced this exceptional application, she produced also, she understood what we try to do, that the school is a learning and innovation hub for the local community. She produced a letter from the local council saying that we understand that funding the school will also benefit the community. And this, she was right on track from the starting point. And then we had 8 schools from Romania. We have a map on our portal where you can see the spot of all of the schools. So I was looking up the coordinates of each school in Romania to see where they are. I learned a lot because, there were, some of them were in a village with 1 road, few buildings from each side, and the school. And I have to say, for the Romanian colleagues, they were always there. I had the pleasure to meet some of them in the summer school, because it's a different thing, as you said. But we had virtual meetings every 2 weeks. They were always there, willing to take the next step. Christina, that comes in MIPE, she is always one of the participants in the webinars. And she is one of what we have said from the beginning, from the roadmap, find the change agent. And this is, we have found good change agents in every school. And Romanian schools were always there, taking the next step, producing very nice projects. And this is what I wanted to say, looking at the video of Portugal and Cyprus. There were common themes. We didn't plan for that. We proposed some things, but you know, there was a makerspace in Portugal. There were maker spaces in Romania and Spain, and you can see there were schools in Cyprus working with earthquakes. There were schools in Romania working with earthquakes, and they bought seismographs and working together, exchanging data and information. And then I will talk a little bit about Spain. Spain, we had the national, let's say, local authority in Galicia and some schools working there. In the video in Cyprus, they said that they have workshops for parents. The school in Veneto also have for digital skills for parents and for the local community. And one of the lessons I learned from this project is that these schools are open for the community after the school hours. They are a hub for the local community. This is the focal point, one of the focal points of our project, I think. They open the society, they open the school to the society. It is not only about making your classroom activities differently, it is thinking, changing the way you think of the role of the school. And this was very important. And I'm going to close with an experience from a primary school in Spain, a small rural school with all kinds of people. They had a young girl with a heavy case of the spectrum of autism. She didn't communicate for some months after the school has begun. So one of the things they brought from the funding of LFE was Lego mindsets. And then they started working and communicate, building projects, and she started communicating with her teacher through the Lego set. Okay, if we did one thing through LFE, this is, I know, worth the case. But we did a lot of things that was worth the case, and I really enjoyed working with all of you. And if there are no questions or comments or something that you want to say, I would close this session, this conference, by thanking everyone here and on YouTube and on Zoom that we had presenters. Thank you.